Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. For more than 40 years, our most beloved Amma has helped us realize the true meaning and significance of traditional rituals and festivals. When Amma celebrates a festival, it is infused with divine energy and a sense of purpose. Rituals that may have become dry or even forgotten are brought back to life by Amma's divine participation. In simple words, every day is a festival around Amma. To enlighten us more about this topic of festivals, we are blessed to have with us today Brahmachari Ramanandamrita Chaitanya. Brahmachari Ramanandamrita Chaitanya is a monastic disciple of Amma who met Amma when he was just 3 years old, and since then he has had the good fortune of growing up at Amma's ashram. He looks after Amma's organization and its activities in eastern US and Canada. He has traveled around the US and Canada conducting satsangs, delivering talks at universities, and sharing Amma's message of selfless service and love. He has also written and composed many devotional songs or bhajans, and his melodious voice and soulful singing can often be heard alongside Amma's during bhajan time. Brahmachari Ramanandamrita is a PhD graduate in computer science from the University of Maryland, College Park, and also professor at Amrita University's Amritapuri campus, where he guides PhD students on their research. Brahmachari Ramanandamrita ji, we are extremely honored to have you with us today. On behalf of everyone watching this satsang online, I extend a very warm welcome to you and thank you for gracing us with your presence. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Amriteshwarye Namah. Thank you for the generous and the gracious introduction. I was requested a few days ago by Amrita Geetananda Swamiji asking if I could do a short satsang session for the Bangalore Amma's children in Bangalore satsang, which of course I happily agreed to. He requested that we do a short session with a couple of bhajans and a short talk. So today's session we'll begin with chanting Amma's Dhyana Shloka, a few verses from the Guru Stotram, and then we'll do Amma Bhajan in praise of our most beloved Amma. I'll share some of my thoughts with you in form of a talk after that, and following that we'll have a couple more bhajans and then conclude with the Shanti Mantras, praying for world peace. So that would be the format for today. Thanks for joining us and hope that you have a good time with us as part of this satsang. Om Amriteshwarye Namah. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namah. Hari Om. ध्यायामो धवलावगुण्डरवती तेजोमयी नैष्ठिकी स्निग्धापाङ्गविलोकिनी भगवती मन्दस्मितश्रीमुखी वात्सल्यामृतवर्षिणी सुमधुरम् संकीर्तनालापिनी श्यामाङ्गीं मधुसिक्तसूक्तिम् अमृतानन्दात्मिकामीश्वरी. ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः. ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः. ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः. ॐ अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वम् अमृतेश्वरी मां। त्वमेव सर्वम् अमृतेश्वरी मां। त्वमेव सर्वम् अमृतेश्वरी मां। मन दिव्य पदाम्बुजगलिके शिरबागु 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 मनुजा शिरबागु 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 मनुजा।
मन दिव्य पदाम्बुजगलिके शिरबागु 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 मनुजा शिरबागु 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 मनुजा।
मन दिव्य पदाम्बुजगलिके शिरबागु 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 मनुजा शिरबागु 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 मनुजा।
पदाम्बुजगलिके शिरबागु 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 मनुजा शिरबागु 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 मनुजा।
मातय ममतय कृपणमगादरे हरिवुदु भवभय चिन्तयतु।
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 अमृता देविय नौकेयु दोरतरे भवसागरव दाटुवेವು।
अमृता देविय नौकेयु दोरतरे भवसागरवे दाटुवेವು।
जगदम्बे शरणं जगदम्बे शरणं जगदम्बे शरणं जगदम्बे शरणं
जगदम्बे शरणं जगदम्बे शरणं ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
എല്ലാ ധർമ്മಗಳ തിരുളನು ಸಾರುವ ನೊಂದ ಜೀವಿಗೆ ಭರವಸೆ ನೀಡುವ
എല്ലാ ധർമ്മಗಳ തിരുളನು സാരവ നൊന്ത ജീവിಗೆ ഭരവസെ ನೀಡುವ
ಎಲ್ಲ ಧರ್ಮಗಳ ತಿರುಳನು ಸಾರುವ ನೊಂದ ಜೀವಿಗೆ ಭರವಸೆ ನೀಡುವ
എല്ലാ ധർമ്മಗಳ തിരുളನು സാരവ നൊന്ത ജീവിಗೆ ഭരവസെ ನೀಡುವ
ಅಮ್ಮನ ಜೀವನ ಚರಿತೆಯನು ಸಾಗರದಡಗಳು ಸಾರುತ್ತಿವೆ
ಅಮ್ಮನ ಜೀವನ ಚರಿತೆಯನು ಸಾಗರದಲಗಳು ಸಾರುತ್ತಿವೆ
ಅಮ್ಮನ ಜೀವನ ಚರಿತೆಯನು ಸಾಗರದಡಗಳು ಸಾರುತ್ತಿವೆ
ಅಮ್ಮನ ಜೀವನ ಚರಿತೆಯನು ಸಾಗರದಲಗಳು ಸಾರುತ್ತಿವೆ
ಜಗದಂಬೆ ಶರಣಂ ಜಗದಂಬೆ ಶರಣಂ ಜಗದಂಬೆ ಶರಣಂ ಜಗದಂಬೆ ಶರಣಂ
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ജഗദംബെ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം
ജഗദംബേ ശരണം
ജഗദംബെ ശരണം ഓം ശ്രീ ഗുരുഭ്യോ നമഃ ഹരിഃ ഓം ശ്വേതാംബരം ശ്വേതവിലേപപുഷ്പം മുക്താവിഭൂഷം മുദിതം ത്രിനേത്രം വാമാംഗപീഠസ്ഥിതദിവ്യശക്തിം മന്ദസ്മിതം പൂർണ്ണകൃപാനിദാനം ജ്ഞാനസ്വരൂപം നിജഭാവയുക്തം ആനന്ദം ആനന്ദകരം പ്രസന്നം योगीन्द्रमेड्यं भवरोगवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुममृतानन्दमयीं नमामि श्रीमद्गुरुममृतानन्दमयीं नमामि ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः. Amritageetananda Swamiji had requested me to share some of my thoughts regarding the festivals in India. It's quite a interesting topic and quite a vast topic to discuss about. I'll just share some of my thoughts which we will try to relate with Amma's teachings and trying to reflect on the spiritual principles behind the festivities and the festivals that we observe in India. As a matter of fact, if we were born and if we have grown up in India, we are all very familiar with the zillion festivals that India has. Probably there may not be any other country in the world which has so many special days that is observed as part of the whole calendar year. I'm sure we're all aware of this very popular joke wherein the teacher asks the student, what is common between Rama, Krishna, Buddha and Jesus? And the student says, it's so simple. All of them were born on a holiday. The point is not they were born on a holiday, rather because they were born, we get a holiday. And more than getting a holiday, it's about celebrating the values that they stood for, the principles, dharma, that they set an example with. And we have so many saints, so many Mahatmas, so many avatars, so many incarnations that 365 days in a year is not enough to reflect upon their teachings, the examples that they set. As a matter of fact, if I may say, every day of the 365 days, if you look at the Panchangam or one of the Indian calendars, you would see something marked for every day as something special being on that day. Sanatana Dharma, the ancient Indian tradition, as Amma says, is so inclusive, is so vast, that again, as Amma says, it teaches us to see the divine in everything. Nothing is insignificant. Everything has something to teach us, everything has something to inspire us with. It's for us to look at them and get inspired. And that's the reason why we have this huge list of festivities, huge list of these special days that we observe. We celebrate great souls that have lived on the face of earth, Mahatmas, avatars, incarnations, Rama, we have Ramanavami, we have Krishna Jayanti, we have Hanuman Jayanti, Ganesh Chaturthi, Shivaratri, and the list goes on. And not just human forms that we worship, we also worship the elements of creation, like we have the Chhat Puja that happens in northern part of the country, wherein we worship the sun god, Surya Deva. Then we have Pongal in South India, wherein we celebrate food and we celebrate the whole process of how we get food from Mother Earth, the whole process of agriculture, the significance of agriculture. And talking about agriculture, we also have Makar Sankranti or Baisakhi, which also marks the beginning of the year, the beginning of the fresh beginning of the year, at the same time respecting agriculture. We have Mattu Pongal, wherein we worship or we look at the divine in the cattle, especially cow, and reflect on the significance of them in our life, then we have days like Govardhan Puja, wherein we worship the mountain. So it's so vast, it's so encompassing that we see the divine in everything, we celebrate everything. And it's not just about the elements of creation, even feelings, even emotions, concepts, we celebrate even them. What about motherhood or womanhood? We celebrate Navaratri for 9 days, celebrating motherhood and womanhood. Looking into the significance of women in society to reflect upon them. We celebrate relationships. We celebrate Raksha Bandhan, or we celebrate Trikartika, wherein it highlights the relationship between siblings, especially brothers and sisters. We celebrate Karva Chauth, or we celebrate Tiruvadira in the state of Kerala, again highlighting the significance of relationship between spouse. We celebrate good governance in form of Onam in the state of Kerala. We celebrate or we observe the lunar cycle that happens, and on the Navami, on the Dashami, on the Ashtami, the 8th, 9th, 10th day of lunar cycle, literally every day of lunar cycle, different people consider them significant, and they observe, fast, or they have special things that they do on that particular day. I know of a person in one of the satsangs back in the US, and this particular person, I am not saying he or she, so that I don't give up who the person is in case he or she would mind. This person literally fasts every day of his or her life, because every time you ask, the person would say, oh, today is Navami, or today is Dashami, or today is significant for Lord Vinayaka, or today is significant for Hanuman. Every day is a reason to have an observance for this person, and that's how vast Sanatana Dharma is. Every day could be made into a celebration, is how it says. And if I try to read out the whole list, it will just keep going on and on and on and on. So the underlying principle with respect to all these special days, one, it reflects on the values that we need to imbibe into our daily life. And more or less all these special days are about the victory of dharma over adharma, righteousness over negativities, overcoming evils, overcoming shortcomings. Most of these, if we really reflect upon this actual significance of each of these special days, it's about overcoming our negativities. The greatness of Sanatana Dharma, the vastness that we are talking about, it could be understood with the way it is. Sanatana Dharma is not just about a book that says do this, don't do this, this is right, this is wrong. Sanatana Dharma is a holistic approach to say how we can lead a meaningful life. It's about making life complete, looking into all various aspects of life, just not about having spiritual or having religious principles. It's about leading a holistic and meaningful life. There are texts and scriptures covering varied fields that that we are involved in, or that are involved in our life. For health and holistic living, we have Ayurveda, we have Hatha Yoga. Even the first recognized surgeon, or the first instructions about surgery is by sage Sushruta. There are 64 forms of art, and we in the Lalita Sahasranama, we do chant the name Om Chatushashti Kalamayyai Namah. One who is established in the 64 forms of art. And these 64 forms, it's a huge list which includes music, instrumental music, dance, cooking, art of conversation, art of preparing the bed that we sleep on, body or face painting, weaving, recitation from books, carpentry, and so on and so forth. It's a huge list. And then we have fields or texts talking about astronomy, astrology based on astronomy, and there are scriptures specifically about mind, about psychiatry, about psychology, and it's a huge, vast list that we could think of. So Sanatana Dharma is about a complete holistic living. How can we lead a meaningful life? So it's not just about just discussing dry religious topics. Rather, it's about how can we make life complete, how can we make life into a celebration. And celebrations are part of this culture so as to bring color, so as to bring joy, so as to bring some form of positive taste, a positive tinge to life. A natural question would be, why do we need celebration? Being a spiritual person, do I need celebration? Shouldn't I just meditate and shouldn't that be enough? Yes, if we are evolved spiritually, we don't need any of these. We don't need any of the social norms for that sake. But for the level that we are in, wherein we don't always have the complete control over our mind, rather the mind controls us. When that is the case, we do need techniques, we do need all these different ways so as to keep the mind engaged, so as to keep the mind entertained. That way, slowly we could bring our mind under control. And for such reason, we do have these prescribed celebrations. Controlling the mind has to be tactful in nature. There's no silver bullet solution for it. There's no straightforward way of doing it. The more we try to control the mind, the more it would erupt. It's like the story of a person who goes to a psychiatrist and says, "Doctor, please help me. I'm unable to sleep at night. I'm phobic to sleeping. I just cannot sleep. Please help me." So the doctor takes his fees of 1,000 rupees and says, "Eat these medicines and you'll fall asleep fine." And then he comes back after a week, still with red eyes, looking very famished and tired. The doctor asks him, "What happened?" He says, "I still cannot sleep." The doctor asks, "Why didn't you take the medicine?" He said, "I did, but that was not the problem. My problem is whenever I'm sleeping on the bed, I'm always apprehensive or I'm scared of what is under the bed." So the doctor gets another 1,000 rupees from him and he says, "Do this, you sleep under the bed, then it should be fine." Then he goes back, again comes back after a week, and he says he still is very tired, worn out. Doctor asks him, "What happened?" He said, "I did exactly what you did. I slept under the bed, but now I couldn't sleep because I was scared about what is over the bed. So what do I do?" The doctor says, "Then do one thing. Just don't sleep on the bed. Sleep on a mattress. Sleep on the floor." He says, "Okay, let me try doing that." Doctor gets another 1,000 rupees for him as consultation fees. Now he goes back, comes back after a week. "Sorry, didn't work." "What happened?" He says, "When I'm not sleeping on the bed, now I'm scared about what is over the bed and under the bed. So I cannot sleep at all." Doctor has no idea. He just doesn't know what to do. And he just gives him another set of medicines and he goes and gets another 1,000 rupees from him. So he has already paid 4,000 rupees to the doctor and still he doesn't have a solution. And then he doesn't come back. So the doctor thinks, yes, his medicine worked. And then after many days or many weeks or many months, he actually sees this person on the street and he asks him, "Hey, aren't you the patient who came to me who couldn't sleep? Are you able to sleep well?" He says, "See, look at me, I look so fresh. Yes, I can sleep very well." Doctor says, "Oh, my medicine worked, right?" He said, "No, I wasted 4,000 rupees with you. I have a good friend who gave me a better solution. I wanted to sleep on the bed and he gave me a solution wherein I could sleep on the bed. All he did was he just took 200 rupees from me to just cut the legs of my bed. And there are no legs for my bed. Now I sleep on the bed and there is no under the bed. So now I'm not scared about what is under the bed because there's nothing under the bed. There is no under the bed now." So rather than complicating by telling you sleep under, then you sleep over, then you sleep somewhere else, this person had a very simple solution. What? Tactfully handle the mind. Do a solution or try to address the problem the mind actually faces and try to convince the mind that problem doesn't exist. That's what he exactly did. He cut the legs of the bed so that the mind doesn't think there is something under the bed, because there is no space under the bed there. So we need to handle the mind tactfully, and celebrations, all these festivals, is a tactful way so as to tame our mind, and once our mind gets engaged, we then pull it towards reflecting on spiritual principles. Talking about the significance of celebrations, one Dr. B.J. Fogg, he is the founder and the director of the Behavior Design Lab at the Stanford University. And he is known for a concept that he introduced. The concept is called Tiny Habit Method. It's about bringing in positive change in ourselves, to develop good habits, to make life much more lively. That's the whole idea. And he says there are three things that you need for that. You need motivation, you need the ability to do things, so recognizing our abilities, and a prompt, something that triggers, something that helps us bring in the potential that we have in us. And he specifically says in an interview that I read about, he says celebrations play a vital role to bring behavioral changes in someone. Feeling good is very important, and that is what creates the trigger so as to bring a positive change in us. I also read another article about Dr. Lawrence Rosenblum. He is a professor in University of California, Riverside. And he had a very interesting research work. According to his research, he says the outfit or the clothes that you wear on the New Year's Eve has an impact on you throughout the year. So the clothes that you wear on the New Year's Eve has an impact on you throughout the year. He says the systematic influence that the clothes have on one who wears it, it affects him or it influences the person psychologically. One, what the set of clothes that the person is wearing means to him. It's like, oh, I'm wearing a blazer, so I feel very dignified, or I'm wearing a sherwani, I feel very, very stylish. That feeling on the New Year's Eve has an impact for many months, is what his findings or his research has helped him find. And the feeling that we have, the feeling good when we wear the new clothes, even that has a long time impact, is what he claims as part of his research. And that's exactly what we do during all these different festivals that we have, Diwali, Pongal, or Onam. We wear new clothes. So these traditions, which the scientists are talking about today, have been part of Sanatana Dharma for thousands of years. And though these little things may seem insignificant, they do have at least a subtle effect in us, and some of them not subtle. They have direct impact on us. So Sanatana Dharma has made celebrations an important part of life because they bring in that positive effect that we need as part of life. There is a verse in the Bhaja Govindam, and Amma had been recently, a couple of months ago, she had the ashram residents talk about or discuss about this particular verse. It goes as, Yoga rato va bhoga rato va sanga rato va sanga vihina yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati nandatyeva. In the text, composed by Adi Shankaracharya and his disciples, the verse says, Yoga rato va bhoga rato va. If you're in midst of high spiritual level or in midst of materialistic life, either of them, sanga rato va sanga vihina, you are in company or you are just alone and aloof, even in these two conditions, Nandati, Nandati, Nandatyeva, you could always be happy, 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 or you could always be joyful, 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 or you could always be celebrating, celebrating, celebrating. When? The third line says, Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam. One whose chitta, one whose mind, Ramate, is ever established, is ever wandering in the state or in remembrance of Brahman, the supreme being, divine, God, however we would want to refer to it, or Guru, Sadguru. One who has his mind established in that ever celebrates, whether you are in company or you're alone, whether you are in spiritual environment or materialistic environment, it doesn't make a difference. It would always be a celebration for you. Amma says every day, every moment of life should be a celebration. It's a decision that we make whether we need to be happy this moment or not. If we decide I'm going to be happy, nothing or no one can make us sad. But if we decide I want to be sad, nothing or no one can make us happy. And when Amma talks about making every moment of our life into celebration, she walks the talk. Amma is the perfect example of how we can make every moment of our life into a celebration. You know, wherever Amma goes, it is celebration. There is a Brahmasthanam festival, it is celebration. Amma is in Amritapuri, it is celebration. There's so much happening around. There are people singing, there are people laughing, there are so many people coming together, seeing each other, and around Amma it's just full of energy. It just becomes contagious. Amma is celebrative every moment, and because Amma is celebrative when we are around Amma, it just seeps into us too. I'm sure all of us have experienced during Amma program when Amma comes to Bangalore for the Brahmasthanam Mahotsavam there. Those 2 or 3 days that Amma spends there, isn't it a celebration? Any one of you can disagree with that? No, it is a celebration. But as part of the celebration, what happens? It is complete chaos. There's a lot of work that we do as part of seva, and we feel tired doing all that. But in spite of all these three, we still enjoy. Why? Because we make a conscious decision that I want to enjoy. I like this, and because we make that decision that I like this, we enjoy. And of course, Amma plays a big role in helping us make that decision. So the point is, if we make the decision to enjoy, we would enjoy. It would become a celebration. Because you talk about chaos, you talk about work, and you talk about tiredness. It has nothing to, probably all these three are exact opposite meaning of enjoyment. No way they can go synonymous with enjoyment, right? If you're tired, I cannot enjoy. If I have a lot of work, I cannot enjoy. If I see chaos around, I cannot enjoy. It's just common sense. But when we are in Amma's presence, chaos, seva, and tiredness are the very ingredients of our celebration. It's part of Amma's program, but we celebrate. That's the beauty of Amma's program. And why are we able to celebrate? Because we make a conscious decision that we want to celebrate. We want to be happy. And Amma's celebration, Amma's happiness is contagious, that it gets into us. You know, the special days that we have, New Year's, or we celebrate our birthday. What's special about our birthday? Is the sun rising from the west on that day? Or are our problems just disappearing magically on that day? No, our problems are verily there. The sun rises from the east as it always does. Then why do we consider that day special? Because we consider it special. Why is that day special? Because we consider it's my birthday, it is special. And we make that decision. Because we make that decision, that day becomes a celebration. That day becomes joyful, right? We make that decision. That's what Amma always tries to point it out to us, that we take a decision and we make it into a celebration. In the 2004, one of the biggest tragedy that we have had in our country is this tsunami that happened in the December of 2004. And Amritapuri Ashram also got affected because the ocean is just right the backyard of the ashram, and water did gush into ashram too. In spite of that, we still refer to it as the tsunami celebration now, because the moment tsunami struck, so many people got affected, the nearby neighbors the villages got affected. Amma swung into action right away, and she deployed all the ashram residents, brahmacharis, to the various parts of the local village, and then eventually to the other villages in the state of Kerala and then in the state of Tamil Nadu too. Right from day one, morning you had to make breakfast for all the people affected, all the villages. You had to make lunch, you had to make dinner, you had to make snacks, go and distribute it, put it on the truck, you go to different parts of the village, of the area, go distribute it, and then after a few months, ashram started building homes for everyone. Every morning at 6:30 a.m. we'll get into this bus, go to a nearby place. We have to carry bricks, we have to carry cement, we have to carry sand, and then we have to help with the concrete mixing, and then we have to help with the concrete filling, making the roof for the house, the foundation. They may all seem like menial labor, but it was a time of celebration. Every morning we would look forward to going together to one particular place, do the seva, and just everyone got together as a family. And when everyone got together as a family, it just became celebration. We still refer to it as the tsunami celebration, not to take away the suffering that people had. We do recognize them. We do share that pain with those who got affected by tsunami. But we also got affected by tsunami right in the ashram. And the point that Amma made was, let us help others as much as we can. And when that helping happened, it became celebration. Even recently, you may have watched the Amritashri event inauguration that happened about a week ago now. It was inaugurated by the governor of Kerala. And Amritashri is this women empowerment program run by Amma under the Embracing the World umbrella, wherein we give vocational training to women, groups of women, and then we microfinance them, and that way they have a form of earning for their life. And now, because there were floods happening in Kerala, and of course not just Kerala, the whole country is affected, the whole world is affected by the pandemic that we are in, Amma decided we are going to, every year the ashram has this program wherein we invest into these groups of women. We invest capital into their little businesses that they could start or continue with, and based on that capital that we provide, they get an earning. They start a business or continue their business, and they have an earning. So Amma decided this year, because people are affected by floods and COVID, we should give them basic necessities too. So we had to make kits full of rice, wheat, green grams, chickpeas, sugar, coconut, and it is not a small amount of that. Tons of rice, tons of wheats came in truckload. So all the ashram residents, right from 3-year-old child to 80, 90-year-old ashram residents, everyone partook in this seva. Amma herself too, to unload all these big sacks. They were all stacked up in the ashram hall. The huge hall that we have is full of these sacks. They're still there. And then once they were there were people who cut cloth and made small bags, kits, into which we fill. And then we measure rice, we measure wheat, we measure the chilies, and all of them, put them in bags. Then once all of them are in their respective bags, you make a kit, and then you load them onto the truck, take them to different districts in the state of Kerala, and then there are thousands of women who come, and then we distribute it to them, along with the usual yearly financing that we do for these women. So, as a matter of fact, if we just look at it at the face, again, it is full of chaos, full of work, and full of tiredness, because right from morning 7 a.m. until midnight, every day. Literally all the ashram members were here doing this seva to get all these things ready for them. But it was actually indeed a celebration, not chaos, tiredness, or work. It was celebration again, because with Amma's presence, that contagious joy that Amma has, everyone found it as a celebration. The children would do their part, and then eventually when they are tired, they will all come together and they'll start singing bhajans. They'll bring all the instruments and they start singing bhajans. It just to bring up the energy of all the elders who are carrying all these weights, packing and all that. So everyone were complimenting each other, and it became a celebration. And why did it become a celebration? The basis of the whole thing, even Amma program or this example or the tsunami example, the basis is unconditional or selfless love, which Amma represents, and which seeps into us, as I mentioned. And when there is love, every moment, however painful, however tired we feel, becomes celebration. Like the bhajan that Amma sings, प्रेम में क्या जीत है क्या हार है, सुख क्या दुख क्या हर पल त्योहार है. In love, there is no victory, there is no loss. Every moment, whether you get happiness or sorrow out of it, it becomes celebration. When there is love, there is only celebration. Look at the example of a biological mother. Taking care of a child is not a child's play. It's not a joke. It's a 24/7 job. The child can cry any moment, can urinate any moment, can excrete any moment. The mom has to be available 24/7, can cry for food, can just cry for no reason. The mother has to be there 24/7. It's like being on a call 24/7, on call, like the doctors are on call. And why does the mother enjoy the whole process? Though it may seem like not a good job to be in, love that the mother has for the child. Consider a mountain climber who goes up Mount Everest. It's not a pleasant experience at all. Think about it. It's freezing temperature, very bad weather, very risky to climb the mountain. A small mistake, you would slip and fall down onto your death. But why do they enjoy doing it? Love, their passion for it. So where there is love, none of these problems, none of these difficulties ever show up. It just becomes celebration. So it's that love that Amma teaches us. Bring or kindle the quality of love within us. And because we have Amma in midst of us, it's a shortcut for us. All we need to do is follow Amma's steps in expressing that love. And that's what happened with the Amrita Shri. That's what happened with the Tsunami Seva. Amma's love, we just follow the steps, a little bit that we can. Amma's steps are huge. The little steps that we can take in that direction, it just transformed the whole process into celebration. So like the Bhaja Govindam verse talked about, Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam, one whose mind is fixed on the Supreme. We can slightly change into Yasya Ambayam Ramate Chittam, one whose mind, or Yasya Ammayam Ramate Chittam. All we need to do is focus on Amma, see what Amma does, and try to imbibe a little bit that she does into our life. If we just do that, life becomes a celebration. And the best example is life in Amritapuri. The people here, all of them have problems, but they're just celebrating life. Especially during the pandemic, when most of the world is reeling with depression, reeling with all these difficulties, mental difficulties and otherwise, people in Amritapuri are consciously celebrating life. They're not celebrating Corona or COVID, they're celebrating life, making life meaningful. So let's try to focus on Amma, Amma's teachings, the examples that Amma sets, and try to draw the inspiration from Amma, imbibe at least few little things that Amma sets an example, imbibe that into our life, and that will help us develop love. And when we develop the attitude of selfless love, life or every moment of our life would become celebration. So let's pray to our most beloved Amma. We are able to make life into a celebration. That way we remain happy and we make others around us happy. Om Amriteshwariyai Namah.
एहि मुरारे कुंज बिहारी एहि प्रणत जनबंधो
एहि मुरारे कुंज बिहारी एहि प्रणत जनबंधो
हे माधव मधु मदन वरेण्य केशव करुणा सिंधो
हे माधव मधु मदन वरेण्य केशव करुणा सिंधो
एहि मुरारे कुंज बिहारी एहि प्रणत जनबंधो
हे माधव मधु मदन वरेण्य केशव करुणा सिंधो
रासनी कुंजे कुंजति नियतं भ्रमरशतं किल कान्ता कृष्णा हे मधुसूदन शान्ता
रासनि कुञ्जे कुञ्जति नियतं भ्रमरशतं किल कान्ता कृष्णा हे मधुसूदन शान्ता
रासनि कुंजे कुंजति नियतं भ्रमरशतं किल कान्ता कृष्णा हे मधुसूदन शान्ता
रासनि कुञ्जे कुञ्जति नियतं भ्रमरशतं किल कान्ता कृष्णा हे मधुसूदन शान्ता
त्वामिह वाचे दर्शनदानं हे मधुसूदन शान्ता एहि मुरारे कुञ्ज विहारी एहि प्रणत जनबन्धो
हे माधव मधु मदन वरेण्य केशव करुणा सिन्धो
नवनीरतधर श्यामलसुन्दर चन्द्रिकसुमरुचिवेशा कृष्ण गोपीजन हृदयेशा
नीरदधर श्यामल सुन्दर चन्द्रिक सुमरुचिवेशा कृष्ण गोपीजन हृदयेशा
नवनीरतधर श्यामलसुन्दर चन्द्रिकसुमरुचिवेशा कृष्ण गोपीजन हृदयेशा
नीरदधर श्यामल सुन्दर चन्द्रिक सुमरुचिवेशा कृष्ण गोपीजन हृदयेशा
गोवर्धनधर वृन्दावनचर वंशीधर परमेशा एहि मुरारे कुञ्ज विहारी एहि प्रणत जनबन्धो कृष्णा
हे माधव मधु मदन वरेण्य केशव करुणा सिन्धो
राधारञ्जन कंसनिषूदन प्रणतस्तावक चरणे कृष्णा निखिल निरामय चरणे
राधारञ्जन कंसनिषूदन प्रणतिस्तावक चरणे कृष्ण निखिल निरामय चरणे
राधारञ्जन कंसनिषूदन निरामय चरणे
कंसदिशोधन प्रणतिस्तावक चरणे कृष्णा निखिल निरामय चरणे
हे जनार्दन पीताम्बरधर कुञ्जे मन्दर पवने हे मुरारे कुञ्ज बिहारी हे प्रणत जनबन्धो केशव करुणा सिंधो
केशव करुणा सिंधो
केशव करुणा सिंधो करुणा सिंधो करुणा सिंधो केशव करुणा सिंधो
केशव
करुणा सिंधो केशव करुणा सिंधो केशव करुणा सिंधो जगदम्बा 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 जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
सत्यप्रसादिनी जगदम्बा सद्गतिदायिनी जगदम्बा
सत्यप्रसादिनी जगदम्बा सद्गतिदायिनी जगदम्बा
सत्यप्रसादिनी जगदम्बा सद्गतिदायिनी जगदम्बा
सत्यप्रसादिनी जगदम्बा सद्गतिदायिनी जगदम्बा
धर्मिणी लीला विग्रहधारिणी देवी मनस्विनी जगदम्बा
लीला विग्रहधारिणी देवी मनस्विनी जगदम्बा
धर्मिणी लीला विग्रहधारिणी देवी मनस्विनी जगदम्बा
धर्मिणी लीला विग्रहधारिणी देवी मनस्विनी जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा अम्बा 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 जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
ब्रह्मस्वरूपिणी जगदम्बा श्रीविष्णुरूपिणी जगदम्बा
ब्रह्मस्वरूपिणी जगदम्बा श्री विष्णुरूपिणी जगदम्बा
ब्रह्मस्वरूपिणी जगदम्बा श्रीविष्णुरूपिणी जगदम्बा
ब्रह्मस्वरूपिणी जगदम्बा श्री विष्णुरूपिणी जगदम्बा
शङ्करी शिव शक्त्यैक्यरूपिणी शिवकुटुम्बिनी जगदम्बा शङ्करी शिव शक्त्यैक्यरूपिणी शिवकुटुम्बिनी जगदम्बा
शक्त्यैक्यरूपिणी शिवकुटुम्बिनी जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा जगदम्बा
जगदम्बा
ജഗദംബാ 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 असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ